introduce yourselves and your project, and then we'll start talking.
I'm Kevin Frachon.
And I'm Nathan LeBlanc, and please enjoy our project entitled The Great Exhibition of 1851.
An Innovation for All Nations.
Diary of Queen Victoria. May 1st, 1851. This day is one of the greatest and most glorious days of our lives, with which my pride and joy, the name of my dearly beloved Albert is forever associated. A little rain fell, but before we neared the Crystal Palace, the sun shone upon the gigantic edifice, upon which the flags of every nation were flying. And all this because of my beloved husband, the creator of this peace festival, uniting the industry and art of all nations of the earth. All this was indeed moving. God bless my dearest husband, Prince Albert, my dear country, which has shown itself so great today. My wife, Queen Victoria, wrote in her diary the triumphs and joys that resulted from the great exhibition of 1851, the first of the world fairs. I had spent many years of my life planning this exhibition of progress and culture and vying to make it a reality. The many millions of spectators saw a grand display of art from around the globe, as well as many inventions such as the barometer and the improved steam engine. But Victoria and I saw something more. We saw the unity of nations, the emergence of science, the very integration of social classes before our very eyes. Indeed, this exhibition was an innovation in these ideas, not simply in the inventions it contained. I admit, for many years I was disinterested in becoming involved in such a project, but all of that changed in the June of 1849 with my introduction to Sir Henry Cole, a prominent member of the Royal Society of Arts and Sciences.
Good day, my prince.
Oh, good day, Mr. Cole. Please, take a seat.
Certainly.
Now, what was it you came to discuss?
Well, several other Royal Society members and I made a trip to Paris last month to visit the National Exhibition of Industry of France, and it was quite inspiring. It was rather larger than anything that's been done in England, and I was wondering if something of that magnitude could be replicated on British soil.
Haven't such exhibitions been held before, marked by poor attendance and lack of interest by business? What are you proposing? Simply a larger exhibition than normal?
Not simply larger, but one that spans all of the nations on Earth. Our exhibition would be much more impressive if it contained contributions from many nations, not just Britain alone. We would also need the backing of the royal government.
An international exhibition, and one put on by the British government. I have to say that's an interesting idea.
So, do we have your support?
Well, I certainly support the arts and sciences. However, I'm not sure how the people of Britain would view such an exhibition. As you know, the many revolutions of this past year have threatened the stability of all parts of Europe, including the United Kingdom. It was not long ago that those radical protesters congregated in these very streets of London, and amassing such a large number of people could be an unwise decision.
If you do not mind my saying so, that is precisely why we should have one. It will assure the populace that our nation is in an age of progress, and win over the support of the people.
You are saying that Britain and its glorious monarchy need a grand, splendid event that will bolster the people's faith in government?
Yes, but not only that. We can also promote the arts and sciences of the world on an international level and forge stronger trade relationships between the world powers.
But of course, this exhibition can do all of these things and more. It can be a shining example of British superiority, as well as a peaceful exchange of the ideas of all nations. A royal commission for such an exhibition will be put forth immediately.
Wonderful. We'll begin preparations at once, if we can get the approval of Parliament.
The initial enthusiasm and inspiration for the great exhibition soon gave way to a stream of seemingly insurmountable opposition. Much of the resistance against the exhibition was proposed by xenophobic, conservative forces who opposed even the slightest changes in the norms of British society or foreign relations. This movement received the passionate backing of Colonel Sibthorpe, a prominent parliamentary figure and an old foe of mine. Later that year, in 1849, both of us presented our pieces to Parliament, and a fierce series of debates ensued.
Hear me, fellow Britons. This so-called exhibition of the works and industries of all nations should not and shall not happen. It would truly turn out to be the greatest trash, the greatest fraud, the greatest imposition to be palmed upon the people of this country. Tell me, do you want a flood of foreign undesirables to not only our great nation of Britain, but into our very own Hyde Park in London?
Sibthorpe, you are only looking at the immediate impact of the fair. Imagine a collection of all the ideas, arts, and sciences of the world, a chance to show the advances of British technology, all in London. Members of Parliament, I hope you will see what great things this fair can bring to Britain.
If you'll allow me to speak, Prince Consort, Britain is the most advanced nation in the world. Foreign nations have nothing to offer Britain that we cannot achieve on our own.
That is precisely where you and I differ, Sidthorpe. We must take into account the crop reaper and photography of the United States, new experiments with steam and electricity from Europe, and new art from the East. The world has so much to offer, just as we have so much to offer the world.
Are you implying that we should simply give away our industrial arts and technologies to our foreign rivals of Europe and the United States? In the 1780s, Samuel Slater stole our textile technology and sold it to the Americans, creating a competing industry that threatened to take the jobs of many Englishmen. Will we allow the Americans to take our jobs even more easily this time?
True, there must always be international competition, but by uniting these countries in an international fair, such competition will remain peaceful and promise prosperity for all. When our inventors see what great things foreign nations have done, they'll be driven to produce even more fantastic inventions. This in turn will motivate the foreigners, and so on. The world needs its own fair to symbolize this form of international progress.
A World's Fair, you say? London needs none of this nonsense. Gentlemen of Parliament, the only things that this festival of buffoonery will bring about are a desecration of the Sabbath, a demoralization of the people, a disunion of political parties, and increasing poverty to a most serious extent.
Despite Sidthorpe's fervent rhetoric against the exhibition, his argument had little substance, and in the end he could not convince enough of Parliament to oppose the exhibition. Meanwhile, my colleagues and I at the Royal Society held town hall rallies to garner support, and we met with local lords to win over the nobility. With Sir Joseph Paxton's design for a grand crystal structure, and with Henry Cole's continued efforts to support the fair, the nation's enthusiasm was solidified. And finally, after much opposition and seemingly insurmountable logistical problems, the great exhibition, held in the glorious Crystal Palace, was finally ready to open on May 1st, 1851. Ladies and gentlemen, we are living at a period of most wonderful transition. The many distances which have separated the nations of the globe are rapidly vanishing before the achievement of modern invention. The Great Exhibition of 1851 is to give us a true test and a living picture at the point of development which all of mankind has arrived, and a new starting point for us to direct our further exertions. And so, without further ado, I hereby declare the Great Exhibition of the Works and Industries of all nations officially opened.
The Great Exhibition of 1851 consisted of a joining of all the different social classes in England. Listening to these diverse voices demonstrates how truly groundbreaking the event was, in its disregard for the previous social segregation that had marked events in London.
In my article to the London Times, I wrote, "The same amalgamation of people of all ranks and classes will then, as now, continue to render the Great Exhibition as the most instructive and memorable spectacle of our time."
It is a truly magnificent feeling to walk through these glass halls that I designed. To think that but a few years ago, I, Joseph Paxton, was but a lowly gardener, but here I am today, the famed architect of the Crystal Palace.
It is not a spectacle exclusively for the royal, for the noble, for the merchant, or the manufacturer, for the scholar. It is to the people of all nations to whom the invitation is cordially addressed.
Many members of Britain's upper class thought that unsophisticated, lowly Americans such as myself, Cyrus McCormick, cannot produce anything of value for the exhibition. But my new mechanical crop reaper placed first in the category of agricultural products, winning a prize medal.
Despite all of the initial opposition to the Great Exhibition, it soon became one of Britain's crowning achievements, and a tremendous success for all the nations and people involved. The impact that it would have in the world would be tremendous, with the surge in global interconnection and communication between nations. It would also change the view of science from a secondary study to the most important area of man's efforts. And finally, with visitors from all the social classes of Britain, it began the enlightenment of Britain's working class population. Today, in 1860, the world is even more connected through international trade, collaboration, and transportation technologies. This will surely increase in the decades and centuries to come. The Great Exhibition of 1851 was truly an event that served as a gateway to a new age of progress. With that, I bid you good day. I must return to my studies.